Here's a little recap for anyone who's out of the loop. On my channel months ago, I made these recordings where I was going to be responding to people reacting to mental health TikTok. I wasn't able to put up the videos when I originally planned because I got into this whole controversy where in the midst of the controversy, I realized that I was being cyberstalked for years and how it affected my delivery in videos. So this is a video that I am going to be doing another take, and that's because from what I remember of my original recording, what I had to say wasn't as impactful as the opinions that I hold now. So I think it's worth doing another take for. But for me to try to do another take with my other recordings would jeopardize the message that they were sending. And again, it's really hard for me to explain it. So, try your best to understand. But the point is, you'll just have to accept the fact that this is something that I'm struggling with. A lot of people didn't understand that. A lot of people ridiculed me and attacked me for the fact that I have executive functioning issues. Can't do anything about it. This is the only way that I can try to cope with it unless you have suggestions that take that into account. So with all that being said, if it's too much for you to handle and you can't sit through a video with those type of problems, then you don't have to watch it. All right, so let's get into this video. Hey everyone, so today I want to look at a video of an actual therapist reacting to TikToks. So we're going to be taking a break from the typical model of this series, which is mostly YouTubers reacting to TikTok and how toxic it is. Now we're going to look at a professional. I plan on showing you another professional at the end of the series, but this professional I did originally react to, but I have so much more to say now after everything that I went through, so I decided to re-react here. I haven't seen my old reaction for months, so I don't remember most of the stuff that I said or most of what she said here. So it kind of feels like reacting to it all over again. So we're just going to get into it.
Okay, so I'm going to need a minute because I'm going to go throw up. I don't even know where to start. Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for coming back. So we are doing another therapist reacts to TikTok. I love these. I think these are really fun. Hopefully you guys don't get tired of these, or maybe you will and it won't matter because TikTok will get banned and then we'll all just be sad. I guess that's it. I'll shut up about it so we can just do it.
She says TikTok will be banned, so I'll just be sad. So it's like, it's either, hopefully she's not one of those people who are just like, TikTok sucks, it sucks, it sucks. It's the problem with everything. Everyone's self-diagnosed, or she's actually going to be sad because she recognizes that there's like good stuff on there and TikTok is going through a ban at that time because they've tried to ban TikTok a few times. So it's like 50-50 where she's coming from. It could be something similar to like a ban because of some other controversy with TikTok, but yeah.
Our first video, we're going to start off with a lady who's not a therapist who is sharing advice on the internet as if she were a therapist and not presenting whatever. She sucks. I'm just going to be real honest about it. She's awful.
One thing that I want to say, okay, let me not pause on her like that. Okay, I'll leave it like that. So one thing that I want to say is that she is saying that someone's giving advice on the internet without being a therapist. I've had therapists literally tell me that they can't give advice. So it's like really frustrating going to see professionals because they tell you all sorts of stuff. Like I had a psychologist get mad at me for seeing a therapist and her when I've been told that they're two different things. And I looked it up and they're sort of two different things, but they're both psychologists. It's all just so confusing, all these labels for these professionals. And so I have a therapist who said, I'm not allowed to give you advice. But then I have a psychologist telling me that she is a therapist and she can give advice. And you're not supposed to see two at once, but you can if they're different. It's this whole thing. So they can't always give you advice. And you should be allowed to give advice even if you're not a professional. Because like before psychology was a thing, you had people who recognized behavioral patterns. And they were giving advice to each other. It's just not a good argument to say that you have to be a professional to give people advice on anything.
My boyfriend and I have been dating for a year and a half and we get into a lot of arguments. He blames me for everything and tells me I always screw up. But when I have an issue and bring it up, he blames me for starting a fight. And he always says I need to fix it. But I feel like we should both be working on it, not just depending on me to fix it. Am I over-exaggerating or is he right? So girlfriend, you go ahead and fix it.
I don't understand why she's making those kind of faces, because if what the woman is saying is true, like if she's lying, then it makes sense. But if what she's saying is true and she's getting blamed for everything and told to fix everything, then that is a toxic relationship and she would have a right to have an issue with that. Like that's some pretty toxic behavior on his part. So I'm just wondering why she's rolling her eyes so much.
Starting a fight, and he always says I need to fix it. But I feel like we should both be working on it, not just depending on me to fix it. Am I over-exaggerating or is he right? So girlfriend, you go ahead and fix it. You grab a copy of Fix That Shit, you do everything that's in that book, and then you say to him, look at me. I'm taking responsibility for my emotions and my behaviors.
It's like, it sounds like she's kind of saying to lead by example. So that's why I don't completely get why she's rolling her eyes and stuff.
And now it's your turn. I fixed my shit. Time for you to fix yours. That is the perfect solution for somebody who wants to blame you for every problem in a relationship. Fix everything that he might possibly blame you for and make the motherfucker speechless.
Okay, it's like, I don't think that is, I don't agree with that advice personally. But for some people, that's what they have to do. Because some people are so attached to who they're dating that they can't let the relationship go if it is toxic. And maybe one of the ways that they can, see if it's worth letting go is through them fixing all their stuff.
That's what I did. Shh, don't tell my husband. The fact is, it always takes two people to fight, and you are always responsible for your half of the equation. So fix yours.
Okay, so I'm going to need a minute because I'm going to go throw up. I don't even know where to start. First of all, the idea that if you and your partner are fighting a lot, that there's something wrong with your relationship. That's not necessarily true. People can have disagreements in a relationship or like discussions in a relationship and that still be healthy. The key there is that you guys are both feeling respected, you're feeling heard, and you're making space for your partner.
I agree with her on that, but I'm just saying the woman did say that he blames her for everything. So they didn't both feel respected and heard and stuff, Like in the case that she's giving, that makes sense, but that wasn't the case that was presented by this woman.
And your partner is making space for you to share how you really feel about stuff. It's not necessarily a frequency thing. It's more that you guys are feeling like you're able to resolve things and like things are moving forward after you have a discussion. Second of all, the idea that you would go and read a book so that you could fix your shit and then turn around and look at your partner and say, I fixed all of my shit, it's your turn. That's toxic.
It is because it's petty. Like to say, I fix mine, you fix yours. It just furthers the pettiness, but it could also be because somebody's like in a, it's like a defense mechanism where the person's just like, you can't keep saying this stuff to me anymore because I did work on it. And the other thing is in some relationships, people are told they need to work on things that aren't even really a problem. Like, it's not a problem, but it's what the partner wants to have changed. It's like a preference thing. And the person's like, well, I could change it, so I will change it. Now what? I don't know. Let me go back to what she's saying.
Say, I fixed all of my shit, it's your turn. That's toxic as fuck. Because what you're doing essentially is taking your healing and your emotional growth and you're using it as a weapon to manipulate your partner. That's fucked.
Yeah, it might not be in that. It could also, again, be self-defense, and it is toxic. But I'm just saying she's saying it like she's the aggressor. And based off of the story, it started with him. Just based on the story. I'm trying to understand. Like, I'm wondering, is she just upset with the term fix your shit? Because she keeps like quoting it and stuff and like kind of mocking it a little bit as she says it. So I feel like that phrase is the thing that she doesn't like so much.
If you make the decision to work on yourself, to grow as a person, and to work through all of the stuff that maybe you realize about yourself that's not super helpful, that's all something that you should do for you. The idea that you would use that as a way to manipulate your partner and as a way to force them to stop blaming you for everything in a relationship, like,
and I do agree with her on that. So the thing that I already like about this video is the fact that she's reacting to TikTok in a realistic way. Notice she wasn't reacting to autistic kids and, kids with learning disabilities who are just trying to have fun, who don't fully understand how mental disorders work. No, instead she's reacting to an adult, for one, a grown woman, okay, who is, and having a mature discussion about it. And I'm not saying that every person needs to do that. You can be humorous and comedic with your TikTok reaction videos. But it's the place that she's coming from that's so important. She's coming from a rational place, trying to have a rational discussion about it instead of just trying to bully somebody for no reason. And we're already 3 minutes in. So it's already a good video in comparison to the other shit that I've been showing you.
Wrong, but also toxic. And that doesn't even touch on the fact that if your partner is already abusive and blaming you for everything that's wrong in your relationship, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so see, she acknowledged it. Like, because I was about to say, is she going to acknowledge the point that the woman's making? Yeah, that was toxic on the guy's part, and he's being abusive. And yes, it doesn't matter if you fix it. He's still going to be abusive. So that's a legitimate reason to have an issue with the video. Because what she should be telling victims is to fix their issues for themselves. Like if they need closure with all the criticism that they got from their partner, it could help you as an individual to just fix those things so that you can fight the intrusive thoughts and stuff. But you shouldn't be doing it just to be like, I fix my stuff, you fix yours.
The fact that if your partner is already abusive and blaming you for everything that's wrong in your relationship, it doesn't matter if you fix your stuff, they're still going to blame you. And also too, the idea that you could feasibly do this. the paradigm that she set up here is that her book is so wonderful and so amazing that if you read it, you'll fix every problematic characteristic that you've ever had so that you can say, my side of the street is perfectly clean. Now you go clean up yours. It doesn't work like that.
But that's how people market books. She wouldn't be able to sell books if she was just like, well, you can fix some of your stuff. Like, books like to promise people, hey, this one little thing will change your life, you know, or I have the secret to this that'll make you 1,000,000 times better than you are today. And someone's like, I can be 1,000,000 times better than I am today. Oh, sign me up. I'm gonna read this tomorrow. Like, so of course she has to market it that way. So that, I'm not gonna get her for that.
It's so amazing that if you read it, you'll fix every problematic characteristic that you've ever had so that you can say, my side of the street is perfectly clean. Now you go clean up yours. It doesn't work like that. Human beings are inherently flawed. Even as a therapist, I promise you there are still sometimes when I come home and lose my liquid shit because the meal prep is not done. That does not mean that just because I'm a therapist and I have access to all of this information about how to be a good person, that I don't have problematic traits.
So I love that she said that because, as you guys know, I was cyberstalked for years. And at the worst, I got cyberstalked by this guy named John Wick. He has made it his mission to go around the internet. I literally mean the internet. Anywhere that he can, on Reddit, on other channels, anywhere, and slander me. If I do one little thing that's like aggressive or whatever, he'll exaggerate it and say, oh, look at all this stuff that she did, when he's the one who was pushing my buttons to make me go off in the first place and not trust anybody and see everyone as the enemy. So this guy was so toxic. He, you know, ruined my mind. He ruined my mental state, because when you're getting on multiple accounts slandering someone every day, like several accounts, he had several sock puppet accounts, and you're just harassing someone all the time, you put them in this state of mind where they can't trust anybody and they see everyone as the enemy. Then he points to me lashing out at everyone because I'm losing my mind because of him. He's like, look how toxic she is. She's such a bad person. But I showed you guys evidence all throughout this video and screenshots of just how far he took it with me. So for those of you who don't know, watch this video as well so that you can have a better understanding, and this one, so you can have a better understanding of what he did to me. But the point that I'm making is, I'm so happy that during this series of mental health, this therapist is saying we all have toxic traits. Because we all do. None of us are perfect. So me getting a little bit angry as if no one's ever gotten angry before, it blows my mind that people watch my videos and be like, but you've gotten angry. Kurena's gotten angry. It's like, have you never gotten angry a day in your fucking life? Like, are you out of your mind? And if you think that I'm too angry, maybe I'm going through something. Did it ever cross your mind that someone who's that mad in a video is going through something? So I feel so validated right now. Thank you. Because people need to know that so they can understand why their reaction towards me and how they were harassing me and jumping on the bandwagon to Lamau XD and quote unquote troll me was just harassment that was making me further lose my mind as I was being cyberstalked. Now we can move past that tangent to get back to this video. But thank you for validating that.
I promise you that I do. And even if I didn't, I will still grow and evolve and change as a human being over time. And there will be parts of our lives collectively as human beings in which we're not able to be perfect. We're never able to be perfect, but in which we're not able to be fully self-actualized. And so reading somebody's book and acting
fully
like
self-actualized, like that's a really good way to phrase it. I'm gonna look it up just for the technicality. The realization of fulfillment of one's talents and potentials, especially considered as a drive or need to present in everyone. I say that that's good because I made this video. You can go watch it, and it's about happiness and people chasing happiness and stuff and trying to reach, you know, a level of enlightenment, and how that's never going to happen. The meaning of life, or our purpose on this planet, is to adapt. We're never going to reach, you know, this perfect state where we are perfect, but we can continuously adapt, because at certain points in history, humans had to behave a certain way to get certain things done. Then once those things get done, the way that the world works changes. So then we have to adapt and change as well. So when people think that they're at the like peak of their life and the peak of knowledge and all this stuff, you're not. Like, you're constantly growing, changing, and developing your opinions because the world is constantly changing. So yeah, not fully self-actualized is the perfect way to put it.
Reading somebody's book and acting like I cleaned up all of my stuff sets you up for failure, because at some point in your life you will change. You'll develop a new problematic trait. You'll develop a new maybe unhealthy coping mechanism, or you'll say something that's hurtful or mean, or I don't know, like, people fuck up, you know? And so just because you read this person's book and made an effort to work through your stuff does not mean that you are perfect, and does not mean that you are done growing. None of us are ever done. This is the other reason too that this person drives me up the wall. She acts like as long as you're a devoted reader of all of her stupid fucking books.
And I just want to point out here that this is someone who has a big fucking attitude all throughout this video. She's swearing and stuff, and she's allowed to do that because she's a bigger YouTuber. But when you're small and you have attitude, everybody has a problem with it. Just like with talking about more dramatic issues, just like with what happened to teaching trends, she was told that she could basically profit off of the drama that happened to her now that she has more subs. That's how toxic the commentary community is. And I'm not saying that this woman is toxic for having an attitude. I'm saying it's toxic that people allow her to have an attitude just because she's a bigger YouTuber. Your sub count should not validate your fucking opinion.
This is the other reason too that this person drives me up the wall. She acts like as long as you're a devoted reader of all of her stupid fucking books that you're perfect, you're done. Congratulations, you've checked off every box and you can just be done growing. Wrong. That's not how it works, especially in relationships, because even if you fixed everything that's wrong with you, what if your partner changes or grows? What if your partner all of a sudden develops a new need or a completely different identity? And now all of a sudden you have to flex and change to meet your partner's needs. Now what? Does she have a book for that? Does she have a book to address the fact that also our problematic traits and the things that we do and say that are maybe hurtful to other people doesn't make you a flawed human being? Probably not, because you can't really make money off of that.
Yeah, and so that kind of goes back to when I said she can't market the book and just be like, well, this is sort of going to fix you and sort of this, sort of that. And she probably could make a book, honestly, that could do that, but her focus was that specific thing. That's one thing that people who make books do a lot. They focus on one thing. This one little hack is going to change your life. This is going to do this and this is going to do that. I'm just saying most people are absolutists, and I'm not going to fault the woman and criticize the woman as if she's doing something no one else does. Most people focus on one thing and take it to the extreme. And it's definitely flawed. I agree with her on that. But I don't see it as flawed as she does, because it depends on the circumstance. It depends on, like, I'd have to read the book. You get my point? Like, did you read the book? Because book titles, like Fix Your Shit, can just be something to draw you in, but then you read it and it's more nuanced. So that's why I'm just like, I'd have to read like, give me a summary of how the book works, or are you just reacting to the TikTok and you've never actually read it?
This person is awful. Like, my face is probably red and I'm sweaty and angry because she's the worst.
See, I can't get that mad at that, because again, like, did you read it or did you see like reviews for it? I mean, I don't get, anyway, whatever.
Let's watch something that's maybe gonna make me less mad. Okay. Here we go.
She just said, let's watch something that's going to make me less mad. So that's what I was talking about when I said she's reacting to TikTok in a realistic way. Because most people think that TikTok is just this like cringe city, cringe central. TikTok is so cringy, and all they ever talk about is mental illness and DID and Tourette's, and they all got Munchausens and all this shit. And it's just like, there's so much mental health stuff on TikTok. And the cringe stuff that you're seeing is shit that's really hard to find as long as you tailor your TikTok to actually watch sensible things. Like, even if you point to a certain category in TikTok that has 2 million uses, like I think Blair White was showing how DID had like 2 million searches or some shit on there. It's like, that's a very small fraction of TikTok categories, because most categories have 1 million, 7 million. I've seen categories that have like 10 million, you know, or tags, whatever you want to call it. So it's really not as common as you think.
This is the thing that I see perpetuated.
Diversity is a beautiful thing. See, and this shows another side to the body positivity movement, because people constantly point to body positivity being really fat women telling people to be fat. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, because I be on TikTok and I never see those videos ever. So this is the kind of video that pops up in the body positivity movement. And that's why I don't have as a negative of a view on it as other people. But again, people just take any issue and they highlight it and they turn it into the very thing that they don't like. They're like, you guys are perpetuating blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you reacting to it is giving it attention. And you're reacting to it in the worst way possible, but whatever.
This is the thing that I see perpetuated everywhere. And I was the person who perpetuated this when I was deep in my diet culture, being thin will fix my mental illness phase. The thing that people love to say is it's all about calories in and calories out. It's just a basic equation. Or as long as you're eating at a calorie deficit, you'll lose weight, right? Wrong. That's wrong. Because our bodies are built differently. So, for example, I am a short person. I come from a family of people who, not to roast my family, sorry y'all, but like no ass, giant tits, very short, not particularly slim. So the odds of me like doing the calories in and calories out and turning into this like thin hourglass shaped person pretty low. That's not going to happen. My best friend, for example, has that like hourglass shape. And so even if she and I both sat and we ate the same amount of calories, the exact same food every day for like 90 days, our bodies would look vastly different. And the diet industry likes to pretend that if, as long as you're eating at a calorie deficit, you can get whatever your dream body is. Fucking wrong.
And for the record, I am someone who actually is an hourglass figure where a caloric deficit does work for me. But even I have the knowledge and understanding to know that not everyone can be at a caloric deficit and get to a healthy weight.
Please feel free to reject this idea because, first of all, just scientifically, statistically speaking, that's fucking wrong. That's not true. But second of all, your body is purely the skin suit through which you experience life. If you existed in the body that you do now, or if you existed in the body of a person who was like an 8-foot tall male alien, you would still be the same person that you are. And you have value and worth as that person.
And that is literally what people talk about in the body positivity movement. And I don't completely agree with the whole you're just in a skin suit thing. But I agree with that way more than people saying, oh, body positivity is just fat people want to be fat all day. The science is in. Discouraging people and putting them down makes it harder for them to lose weight. So if you really care about people losing weight, you'd stop bullying them so much. If you really think that that's the answer, you have a problem. Because that only works for masochists. Like the people who are like, well, I got bullied and I lost weight. You need to go to therapy because you're not handling your masochism properly. It's not my fault that you need somebody to put you down and insult you and push you to nearly the edge of, depression for you to finally do something about your weight. For the majority of the population, it does not work that way. So if you want the majority of the population to lose weight, maybe stop bullying them so much, especially when we live in a country, speaking for America specifically, because America is known for having fat people. America has a multi-billion-dollar industry doing everything that it can to make people as fat as possible. You think that's by coincidence? You think that they calculated all this stuff, got all these experts to come up with all these psychological manipulative things and, all these addictive foods, all these unhealthy foods that's in everything. Like our food is so awful. You think they did all that and it's not supposed to work? It's just the individual's fault. It's not like America's system is like no other system around the world and that's a direct correlation to Americans being fatter than other people. And now we're exporting that system to the rest of the world. It's not like that's not a thing. So the place where we're exporting it, people are getting fat too. But congratulations, because you guys keep thinking that body positivity is just fat people wanting to be fat. Maybe once the rest of the world gets fat, we can actually do something about the real problem, since you guys wanted to ignore it for so fucking long.
But yeah, this idea of like calories in, calories out is just objectively wrong and also like really hurtful to people. So please stop saying these things to each other and to yourselves. Okay, number 3.
I don't know who needs this from a licensed therapist today, but... the ad. Maybe if you stopped invalidating your child's emotions, they wouldn't need so much therapy as an adult. Seriously, for real. Like, and this is the type of shit that I see on TikTok all the time, which is people talking about abuse and talking about how toxic abusive behavior is. Not this mental disorder and this mental disorder. Like, even the kids talk about abuse all the time. They'll be like, my parent did this. I grew up with this. I'm living with my parent right now who's like this. Like, it's literally victims of abuse going on TikTok being like, hey, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, and I don't know what to do. That's why it's so harmful for these people to paint TikTok out as just this Lamal XD cringe zone, like freaking Oompaville. Ugh. Anyway, whatever. I'm just gonna go back to this.
This is sort of thinly veiled shade, but again, disclaimer, I don't work with kids. They're not in my wheelhouse and I just don't get it. But when I was an intern, I did have to work with children. And the thing that became abundantly clear to me pretty quickly is that the issues that kids have usually come from the people and the adults in their life. If you're invalidating your child's emotions, if you're saying hurtful things to them, if you lose your temper at them, if you use physical punishment as a means to get your point across, those are all things that teach your child that their emotional needs and their feeling of safety and their deservingness of stability and peace are less than. Basically what you're doing is communicating to your child that your need to feel even and to take out your emotions on another person matters more than their need to feel safe and to feel loved. A lot of the issues that people develop and need to go to therapy for are from the adults in their life and from feeling invalidated and from emotional abandonment, basically.
Try not to pause on her face when she looks silly. So yeah, and again, like I said, there's a lot of people on TikTok. For one, when we talk about toxic TikToks, the reason why I don't get that mad at the cringe city TikToks, even though I don't really see them, is because the shit that does pop up on my feed are people reporting actual cases of abuse on TikTok. I remember I saw this one TikTok that I might actually like show one day because I think I have it archived, but I don't know. It was this parent who literally shaved her daughter's head live. And that was her punishing her for something really unimportant. Like the daughter didn't really do anything that bad, but she shaved her head bald, and she was a black girl. So like it's really hard for black people to grow their hair, and it takes a while. It depends on, you know, the resources, because it's expensive growing your hair as a black woman. So to just shave her head off like that, it was so horrible. And then everybody was telling her she was a monster for it. And then the follow-up video, the mother is filming the daughter and telling the daughter, did you like your punishment? And the daughter had completely shut down. She completely emotionally shut down. It was just like, yes. And she said yes in the most pleasant tone, even though her face was dead. She was like, yes. And she was like, you think there was an adequate punishment? She's like, yes. And she's like, see, she's okay with how it punished her. And abuse cases like that is why TikTok is so important, because it helps us to see what's really going on in these households, because people don't think that abuse is common. They don't think that, you know, that level of abuse even exists in certain families, and they don't understand what it does to children. So that's why I hate it when people just, you know, shame TikTok when it's an avenue for victims to come out about their abuse. Because the truth is, social media just has annoying people on it, period. And TikTok is one of the easiest ways to spread information these days, because anyone can pick up a phone for a few minutes and record themselves saying something
in their life, and from feeling invalidated and like from emotional abandonment, basically. You can tell that this one is old because it's a trend that doesn't exist on TikTok anymore, but that's fine. Okay.
My 5 years of doctorate level education leaving my body when patients self-diagnose themselves from a BuzzFeed quiz. See? Well, do you see what I'm telling you? They didn't say self-diagnosing on TikTok. They said a BuzzFeed quiz, because people are going to Google. After they see something on TikTok, they go to Google and search stuff and then self-diagnose themselves. They're using the internet to self-diagnose, not TikTok.
Those are my 5 years of doctorate level education leaving my body when patients diagnose themselves from a BuzzFeed quiz. Obviously, I don't have 5 years of doctorate experience. I only have a bachelor's and a master's degree, but it is always funny, especially people in my personal life. Not so much clients. Like, I understand my clients do this because they're looking for answers and like searching for reassurance or something.
I'm telling you, like she just said it herself, they're searching for reassurance or something. It's insane. Like, I'm trying to tell you guys that most people who are self-diagnosing are coming from a place of pain and desperation. It is not, lol, I just want some attention, give me attention, give me attention. Most people, this is like a cry for help. And especially when they're kids, for you to just be making fun of them and dragging them for it, it's such a harmful thing.
But it is really funny when people in my personal life talk about like, oh no, I know what my diagnosis is because I took a quiz. I looked at BuzzFeed. And you're like, oh, okay. Did you? That's really cute. And not that researching your diagnosis or researching your symptoms on Google is a bad thing.
See, she said researching on Google because she also knows that she sees people who do this. They're literally telling her. They didn't say, I got my diagnosis from TikTok. She's like, yeah, they said I took a quiz. Yeah, I did research on Google. Like, this is the literal expert telling you. I'm trying to tell people that's what's happening, man.
Isn't helpful. Your diagnosis or researching your symptoms on Google is a bad thing, but it certainly isn't helpful in all cases. Diagnosis is an imperfect science anyways.
See?
And so trying to diagnose yourself on Google is really like you're tiptoeing into dangerous territory.
Diagnosis is an imperfect science anyways. Like, and yeah, it is dangerous. Again, she phrased it perfectly. Like, you're tiptoeing into dangerous territory. It doesn't mean it's bad, but it is tricky. It's dangerous because you could convince yourself that you have something that you don't. And that could really mess with your mind if you think you have those things. Me personally, I have theories on issues that I have. And I've seen professionals about it and had them confirm those theories. So that's why I stick with the diagnosis that I've gotten, you know, with certain symptoms of things that I've already been diagnosed with. If that makes sense. I might have just said that terribly. That's another story for another day. I plan on talking to you guys about all that stuff. But the long story short of it, it's not because I went to TikTok. It's because I'm seeing actual psychologists, psychiatrists, neurologists. Like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with me so that I can cope with it better, which is what you should be doing. So it's just very frustrating that everybody thinks that people are self-diagnosing on TikTok when they're not. They're going to Google. Like, get mad at Google and get mad at people not teaching kids about these things. Kids need to be taught about psychology because we're in the age of the internet. So you can dumb it down enough for a child to comprehend some basic levels of it. You can. Kids are smarter than you think. But yeah,
I recognize that therapy is not something that everybody has access to or like
Thank
privileged
you.
to access.
Oh my God. Okay, so I got a video coming up. It's going to be the next video, actually, that I recorded months ago, where this girl is talking about go to therapy. And it's like, here's an actual professional who is telling you that not everyone has access to therapy. So it's so annoying when people are like, go to therapy, and they're telling regular, like, it'd be different if you said this to an influencer or something. It's like, fine. But for you to say this to a normal person, let alone these kids on TikTok, go to therapy. Not everyone has access to therapy. It's not as easy as you think. Like, for the record, it's one thing to tell people they need therapy, but to expect people to go to therapy is ridiculous.
And so trying to diagnose yourself on Google is really like you're tiptoeing into dangerous territory there. I recognize that therapy is not something that everybody has access to or like the privilege to access. So like that's really fair. But if you're able to, definitely try and leave your diagnosis to a therapist because they have, you know, training in how to do that. Okay, last one.
You can allow people to feel seen and heard without agreeing with them. Seriously, like, this is what you guys have helped me with on my channel. Like, so a pet peeve of mine that I have all the time is when people tell me, I don't agree with everything that you said. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to agree with anyone 100%, not even yourself. If you cannot look back 1-2 months ago and see one thing that you disagree on that you used to believe, you're not growing and changing as a person. So we're not supposed to agree with anyone 100% of the time, not even ourselves. So when I make my videos and they're like, oh, I disagree with you on all sorts of stuff, you're supposed to. So it's like annoying to see those comments, but at the same time, it depends on the comment because it also is inspiring for me to see people say, you know, I disagree with you on a lot of stuff, but I support you. It's just like, that's what I always wanted from the beginning, for us to have different points of view, but still be able to come together about things and try to understand each other. Like, you don't have to agree with me to understand me. And the same goes with me understanding you and accepting you as at least accepting the fact that you're a human being. But I got dehumanized all the time for just having an opinion. I can understand why you feel that way. I hear you. How can I support you? I can appreciate that. Like, that's the type of stuff that I'm now hearing in my comment section, and it means so much to me because I'd say that stuff to people all the time, but all the time all I ever got in my comment section was just, oh my God, this fucking, you know, sociopath. They just used to call me like a sociopath and all this other stuff. Like, ugh. I remember one of the worst comments that I saw, like, intellectually. I was saying that hurting kids is a bad thing to do, basically, which is, you would think that that's something we can all agree on. And instead of the person understanding me, they said, you know, most people who have an issue with something are actually doing that behind closed doors. So you must be hurting kids behind closed doors for you to have so much of an issue with it. You're a very toxic person. I've gotten that comment more than once. And it's just like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, or maybe, just maybe, it's because I was abused and robbed of my childhood. So I don't want to see that happen to any more kids. Maybe that's where it's coming from. My anger towards people abusing kids, not me abusing kids. But as I told you, people were literally making usernames called Kurena Fujio is a rapist. So it's just, again, like being dehumanized like that when you could have just come from a place of understanding. I got harassed to a degree that was just insane for having an opinion. And I never harassed anybody. I never jumped on a bandwagon to harass someone. All the videos that I make, I'm always talking about stuff no one else is. So I would just go out there by myself to speak on a subject. Or if it was a subject everyone was talking about, I had something unique to add to it. So I wasn't part of a bandwagon. But here these people go, bandwagoning on me and just harassing me all the time.
Again, you can tell that this is an old one because that trend doesn't exist on TikTok and I haven't heard anybody use that audio in forever. But this is still important information and I wanted to talk about it because a lot of times people struggle with the idea of validating a loved one or another person during an argument because it feels like you're agreeing with what they're saying. But validating somebody's opinion or making an effort to let them know that you understand where they're coming from doesn't necessarily mean that you have to agree with what they're saying. So her examples of, like, she said, I can understand how you feel that way. I hear you. I can appreciate that. How can I support you? All of those are good examples of ways that you can tell a person, like, yeah, okay, without necessarily saying, like, no, yeah, for sure, I totally agree with you, because you can understand why a person says what they say or did what they did without necessarily signing off on that behavior. And it's a really useful tool to use when you're having a discussion with someone, especially somebody that you love and care about, because it allows you guys to build common ground without you being like, yeah, no, for sure, please say hurtful and mean things to me next time. So yeah, learning how to validate people does not mean that you necessarily agree.
So she's about to wrap up the video, so I'll just say here, like, one thing people don't know about me in real life is that I honestly don't like conflict. And I know that that sounds insane. Like, I know that people who see me online, they have this opinion of me. They really think that they know me, but I hate conflict. So it's like in private and in real life, like, you have to push me to a serious fucking point. Like, I mean, to the point of no return, where you're getting away with way more than you ever should have before I ever snap off on someone. Like, I'm constantly trying to de-escalate, or if I can't de-escalate the situation, I usually just emotionally shut down, and I'm just like, if you're gonna talk to me like this, I don't want to talk anymore. Like, I'm done. Like, that's usually my trauma response in conflict, because I really hate conflict. And I know people are saying, they're like, if you hate conflict so much, why are you so damn, you know, in your videos? It's because I hate conflict. Like, if you're somebody who doesn't like to deal with those type of situations, it makes it hard to talk about really stressful situations online when you know you're going to be getting ridiculed for it. Well, more than ridiculed, you're going to be getting attacked and slandered and harassed for it. You're going to be called somebody who abuses kids for saying that hurting kids is wrong. Like, you're going to be called a racist for saying that racism is bad. You're going to be called the opposite of everything. For one, first of all, to tell me that I believe the opposite of what I'm saying in a video just proves that you think that what I'm saying is a good thing. Because if you thought it was a bad thing, why not just repeat the thing that I said, right? So to constantly get that all the time, it turns you into this crazy maniac making fun of you constantly. Like, you have these fringe people attacking the fuck out of you all the time, and then you have everybody else laughing because you're losing your mind because of it. You know, in Curtis's video, one part that I skipped over that he said to me, he literally said, you're gonna die in 10 years due to all that stress. Did it not register to you that that's a red flag that I'm going through something? Like, if you really think that I'm so stressed out I'm gonna die in 10 years, obviously what I'm saying is a cry for help. I need someone to help me because I'm stuck. And it didn't even register in his head, you know? And for the record, I just want to explain that I'm going to process what happened to me in a way that works for me. Because there's a part of me that is angry and is hurt because I sit back and look at what happened to me and think about the fact that I was genuinely stuck and desperate and in an unfamiliar situation that most people wouldn't be able to handle. And when being forced to deal with a situation like that, it puts you in this frame of mind where you're losing your mind. They pushed me to a point where I was losing my mind. And then they were laughing at me for it. They thought that it was funny to troll me and to make fun of me because I was so angry I didn't know what to do. And I needed help. And none of them saw that it was a cry for help. And you have to remember that there's new people coming into my channel every single day who isn't going to watch that series. So they don't understand that that happened. And more people need to understand that that happened. Because I'm not the only one who that's happened to. And it wasn't funny. So yeah, I'm still gonna bring it up. But I told you guys I'm not gonna stop talking about it. And I meant that. So there's a lot of victims of abuse online who they need someone to help them because they don't have anybody. And yeah, just going back to the whole conflict thing. Usually I'll say stuff like, I understand where you're coming from, but this is how I feel about it. Because again, I'll just emotionally shut down. And that's how you're supposed to talk to people. It usually does de-escalate the conversation unless it's somebody who's like on a mission to discredit me or something. So between that and other sorts of arguments, constantly I'll tell people, I get that, I get where you're coming from. But I don't see a lot of that when it came to me and the shit that I had to say. So anyway, it's just interesting. But yeah, like, I think people need to take that approach more often when they're dealing with someone who they disagree with. Just to see, like, it's not going to hurt you to tell somebody, I hear what you're saying. It's not going to kill you, okay? Just give it a try.
Okay, yeah, so I hope you guys like these videos. I really like these videos.
She said, I really like these videos. She's not saying, oh my God, like, TikTok is just such cringe. I can't, like, she's not doing that because she actually watches TikTok.
They're super fun, and there's actually, like, high-key a lot of really interesting and useful mental health content on TikTok, so unless that content dries up, we'll probably just keep doing this. If you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. So
that's, like, the whole thing. And so my point is, it's just like, it blows my mind because a lot of these people, I mean, even fucking Oompaville is going to that Reddit thing to look at TikTok cringe. These are people who are literally stalking these kids, just following them around and then plastering them on social media so that they can get ridiculed and made fun of and harassed. It's just like, what are you doing? Go to TikTok yourself. Like, actually use the app. And if you see something you don't like, don't engage with it. Don't give it attention. It's your responsibility to not give these things attention if you don't want people to see it on a massive scale, you know? So that's why I wanted to show this video, because I just thought that it was so important, and I thought that I could give it an even better perspective looking at it now than to have showed you what I originally said, because it came from a place outside of the scope of cyberstalking. I think this video is like so important, so I just want to take a break from all of the, you know, YouTubers reacting to TikTok to show you a more realistic way to react to TikTok from people who actually watch TikTok. So with all that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all next time.